Welcome back to Cool Club's headquarters here in Scottsdale. Today, again, we've got Mark Timms, CEO and founder. We've got Mac and Steve from Srixon, and we're going to touch on something really exciting, is the irons this year. I know this is going to release on the day that they come out, so I want people to get to see them and hear all about them. And I think there's actually some decent changes, at least to one of the heads this year. So again, whoever's ready, go for it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. When I think of Srixon irons, I think we have a really nice cult following the last few years. I mean, starting back from our 745s and 545s, and then into our 565s and 765s, and then we had the 785s, and now we have the ZX5 and ZX7. And I think every generation has gotten just a little bit better, and it's got more and more of a following. This year, we thought, I mean, we had our best year ever with irons, with ZX5s and 7s. That all we kept hearing from all of our staff players, our accounts, and our tour players is, don't mess it up. Okay,
Yep.
So we try not to mess it up too much for all of you Srixon fans out there. But the big change that you're going to see this year is in the ZX4 iron. We do a lot of combo sets, as you know. We do a lot of 5s and 7s. We were trying to tap into a little bit more of the game improvement market in our last generation, and thought we might get some combo sets of ZX4s and ZX5s together. Longer irons in the 4s and shorter irons in the 5s, but they didn't marry very well.
That 4 was a monster last year.
The 4 was.
Yeah, it was.
It was a really nice performing golf club, but it really didn't combo very well. So what we did this year is we made it look a lot like the ZX5, kind of married into the family, but still as forgiving and as hot as the previous generation. So now not only does it work well, but now it looks pretty. So when you have a bag of ZX4s and 5s and 7s, they all look like they go together.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the biggest
I've noticed
change.
that too. Especially when we get them we just mess around with the robot and stuff, and the 3 on the floor. I kept picking up which one's which. And
Right.
I was saying, you could actually blend all 3 of those sets, no problem.
Right.
They're all sitting in the bag that look similar.
Exactly. That's what we were trying to do.
What were your 7-iron lofts through the bag there? 4, 5, 7.
We're going to have the 7's going to be 32. The 5 is 31, and then it's 28 and a half, I believe, on the 4 this year.
So there's a little bit of tinkering to do with the loft, maybe, but you're going to get so much more launch out of that 4 that you
Exactly.
might just peel itself back a bit.
And you can spread them out through the set too. It's a little stronger long irons with low center gravity is not a bad thing, and
Yeah.
wedges to control with them. And the 7's not bad either. So
Right.
It's I'm definitely on the side of don't change too much. The last few
we sold
years
tons of
was
those things.
So
Right?
many.
The last 2 years, up until then, we sell maybe a set here and set there, but the last 2 years we literally sold hundreds of sets of these things. So,
Yeah. And it's we have no affiliation. We're not paid to sell online. It just works really, really well. And when Mark and I do get to talk about the robot testing, people will see
it was
why.
phenomenal.
It's just
really was good.
the 5 especially is just an all rounder. Like that's going to be in our players category, but it could be in our tour category and it could be in our game improvement category. It's just an all rounder, unbelievable iron.
Well, we do very, very well when we are in shops or accounts that are brand agnostic. They're not pushing one brand over another.
Right.
And when we get a chance, we usually win, which shows a lot to the testament to the product.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the some of the stigma out there about not having a forged iron, it's easy, they're forged. So it's a game improvement forged iron. So you're just winning all of that market. And I think the sole design and the effect that has on a player is so understated. Like that changes people's games. They can have another iron that's giving you as cleaner numbers, but when you put them on the turf, they're like, well, obviously.
If you don't mind explaining a little bit about what the sole configuration is, because it's a little different than most irons, and it obviously works because we've sold hundreds of them, like I said. But I've seen it in some irons in the past, but not as prevalent as what your whole line has it basically.
Yeah, we call it the VT sole, and it's just basically a V sole. It really helps for turf interaction, and when you have good turf interaction, you have good feel. So when you add that with a forged club or a forged face, you've got great feeling metal along with great turf interaction, which really gets you through the turf quicker.
Yeah.
So it just is an all-around great performing golf club that feels like butter.
And I think actually the sole, without going into wedges too much, because we're going to do that, but it's like getting the right bounce for your wedges. You get consistency and distance control because you're not digging in the ground. You're not getting debris between the ball and the club face. Like it really does help you get consistency of distance too.
For sure. Because if you're, I don't want to get too in the dirt, but when you're getting through the turf quicker, okay, and it's not slowing the club face down, it's going to go to the distance that you're trying to hit it, and that's what we're trying to do with irons. If you needed to hit 150 yards and you're not getting through the turf the way you're supposed to, you're going to come up short.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what we're trying to do. You'll see it in our wedges and definitely in our irons.
Yeah. You're also adding a blade a little later, or a muscle back maybe you want to call it, and that's going to be Z forged again.
Z forged, yep, and that's going to launch about 6 to 8 weeks after these launch. So it's coming. It's already out on tour. I've already seen a few sets in the bag. So it's.
Do you know who's playing that?
I know Brent Grant's playing it.
Yeah.
Saw in his bag, and I think Hideki's got him in his bag as well. But don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that could probably be blended with the ZX7 as well.
For sure.
Mix those
A
together.
lot of guys do that. They go the little long irons, and then 7-iron down, they go into the blade. So it's really good.
Outside of the quite a big shape change from 4 to 4 this year, is there any other technology? Is there anything else to discuss about the iron that's a real standout features?
The ZX7, you'll look and you'll see a little bit more weight right in the center.
Yep.
We call that PUREFRAME. And all that is usually this type of player is hitting the ball more in the center and might as well have the weight more in the center to get a little bit better performance.
Yeah,
That way.
that little wave
Yeah.
effect in the middle there is
Exactly.
something that definitely wasn't there last year.
Exactly. Yep. And then the ZX5, we have mainframe technology, right? Maybe you can talk a little bit about that if you.
Yeah, basically it's just going to allow for more consistency across the face on miss hits, and that's what I think you guys had a lot of success with last year, was just that technology allowing for the forgiveness across the face. That's really what it's designed for.
And I won't give our robot data away, but that's what it does. Yeah. You miss it and it's still very, very good.
Yep. Good.
And the 4,
In
just
the
have a look
4,
at
you'll
that.
see how the back looks a lot like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was
stick them all in the bag and
Yeah.
that was one of
never
the
know.
missing pieces last year. The 4 was almost like one of those hybrid irons. It had a big, all enclosed, and now it looks more cavity
Exactly.
style. And the weight port in the end toe of that, is there a weight port toe in the 4 there?
in the 4, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen us use that as actual any injection at this point. Steve, you might be able to tell me differently.
Is
but
it
I
hollow
haven't
inside,
heard
or
of
is there actually a foam type stuff inside?
There is a foam part. There is a foam in there, but I can't tell you.
That's under lock and key still.
it. For sure.
And I have actually had some success using the utility iron as well. And you've got one of those there. Really, really, really clean. I know we were talking about it earlier, how it frames on the ground. They got that high polished finish on the back, but it
Yeah.
kind of actually has a use in alignment too.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I mean, this is the #1 utility iron on tour.
Yeah,
Has
we get a
been
lot of tour players asking about that. A
Yeah.
lot of people coming through with it.
So it's
better players and stuff. That's
really
pretty
solid.
prevalent.
Again, a lot like the hybrid that we talked about. This is kind of the best of both worlds. 2 generations ago it was too long. Last year was a little bit too short. This is kind of right in the middle.
You're talking about the blade length or actually the length of the club?
The length of the blade.
Oh, okay,
that's what-
right.
Yeah. So,
They're pretty killer. It's a fine line with driving irons too. Like you make something chunky and it's good, it's forgiving, it gets through the turf, but people don't want to play it because it looks ugly.
exactly.
You make something like a true 2 iron and people can't hit it. So
Right,
you've got to
exactly.
find that sweet spot in the middle
Exactly.
there.
Yeah, and driving irons are for everybody. Obviously, we don't sell a ton of those compared to hybrids. It's probably 50 to 1 or something. But
Yeah.
for a better player that wants to keep it down in the wind, control his shot, be able to shape a shot, it's still.
The secret I always say is in the name, right? A driving iron. It's for driving the golf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A hybrid is a hybrid between the two. It's a crossover of that wood
Right.
and the iron together. You can do a lot more with a hybrid. So I love the idea of a driving iron for hard fairway conditions, or if you've got a number off the tee that you can chase it out to and you really feel the spot. But if you're trying to land it on a green, go hybrid.
And that comes in what, 3, 2, 3, 4?
2, 3, 4.
4 this year,
Yeah.
5, right?
They make a 5 in it too. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
26 degree.
Yep, 26 degree. Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get these in the hands of some.
Yeah, I can't wait to
some
show you
clients.
guys all the robot data on those things too. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
And literally, pretty much anyone can play any of them. I mean, obviously the blade is a different deal, but the 5 and the 7, and then definitely the 4. Super forgiving.
Awesome.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, let's come back and we'll get stuck into some wedge stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.